Good morning, everyone. I wanted to welcome you this morning to our ATTAINS training that we're having today. And our presenter this morning is Jessie Borman Paget. I think Jessie is on the line. Jessie, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, today we're going to be doing part 2 of the ATTAINS training that we started a few weeks ago. So today we're going to be focusing on learning how to batch upload. So in addition to the manual entry capabilities that ATTAINS has, it also has the ability to batch upload, which is useful when you're handling a large amount of data that you don't want to manually upload. So we have 2 exercises today that I had Karen send out, and I'm going to go through the first exercise, and then we're going to have a break for everyone on the call to try it themselves, and then I'm going to go through the second exercise, and and then you can try it yourself as well. So, any questions on that before I get going? Great. Okay. Let's begin. Okay. So can everyone see my screen? It should be a Excel document right now.
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So one of the files that I had sent out today is so the 2 Excel files. One's the AU batch upload, which is for assessment units, and one's the assessment batch upload. So these are also available from the ATTAINS public website, and I can show you how to navigate there if you don't have them, but they should be, you should have gotten them today. So I did not receive the files. Okay, well, you can, so if you go Google and type EPA ATTAINS, the first result is this ATTAINS public website. So if you go there, you can go to click upload data. And then if you scroll down, you will see that there's this assessment unit batch upload template and this assessment batch upload template. And so you can go download those, and those are the files we'll be working with today.
Jessie, we have a couple of notes in the chat box that says they did not receive the files.
Mm-hmm. Did you send those out today? I sent them this morning to you.
I did not receive anything from you. If you want to send it to me again, I will be happy to send it out real quick.
Okay, let me stop sharing my screen then and send you the email again. Huh. Well, thanks for letting me know that. I will send that again then.
It may have went to my junk folder.
Hey, yeah, I'm sending it again just in case. Hey. All right, well, let me know if if you didn't get it now, and then you can send it out.
I'll let you know when it gets here.
Okay. And then in the meantime, I can continue on since the first part's demo. Okay, so when you get these files, you'll be able to look at, but in the meantime, I'll just share my screen and show you. So the first, so this has multiple tabs. The first tab is instructions on how to use the file. So it basically goes over what I went over, what I'm going to go over today. So the next tab is this export tab. So you see how it has all these tabs like general, water types, locations, monitoring stations. So that is, that should ring a bell from when you created your assessment unit the last time we met, because those were information you gave. You gave the water type, you gave the location, you could enter a monitoring station. And so you basically export these individual tabs and then batch upload them into ATTAINS. And I'll show you how to do that. And so this export tab has the ability to just like click a button and oh, you forwarded the file, it's great. Click a button and get the CSV file for that specific tab. So the thing is, this is a fancy XLSM macro-enabled spreadsheet. You don't need to know what that means, but what that does mean is it can't be uploaded into ATTAINS because ATTAINS can only take CSV files. So you can click one of these buttons and have it automatically create a CSV, or you can just save it as a CSV the normal way Excel does. I prefer to do the latter, but it's really just up to personal preference. Just know that to batch upload it into ATTAINS, it has to be a single tab in a CSV file. So the first tab is general. So this should look familiar. You have your assessment unit ID, your assessment unit name, assessment unit state, the location description. These are all things you entered manually in our last session. But if you had 100 assessment units to upload, you could populate this spreadsheet and upload them a lot faster than doing it manually. Or even many fewer than 100 would still be faster. You have water types, so similar. You could make, you assigned a water type in the last time we met. You can do that, do a batch upload. Locations, you assigned it a HUC in the last time. You could also do it through batch upload. And monitoring stations. So monitoring stations is where we're going to be focusing today on this exercise. And you have the assessment unit ID that goes with the monitoring station, the org ID for that monitoring station, and the location ID and the data link. And I'll explain how you get that in the demo. Any questions so far before we start before I start demoing? Okay, then let's start the demo. So in the exercise, it says you're uploading information for monitoring locations, which is a required field in for assessment units so that we know which monitoring locations you used when you made your assessment. So in this exercise, you can see that it's already given you which org ID and station ID you're associating with your assessment unit. And you're going to use the same assessment unit you created the last time. So so I'm just going to copy this information and paste it in. So I'm going to do this differently. Yeah. And it creates these extra rows, so I just get rid of them. And you can see now you have the monitoring location ID and the org ID. So these are two monitoring locations monitored by SAC and Fox and two that are monitored by USGS. And these are associated with your fictitious assessment unit that you created in the demo account. And so then you need to associate these all with your assessment unit ID. You either have that from your own independent data, or you can get that from ATTAINS. So in my case, I'm going to get that from ATTAINS. I'm going to log in using to the same account we did last time. To remember what assessment unit ID I created. Okay, so that's my assessment unit ID. So I'm just going to copy this over and paste it into the sheet. I'll do it this way. And so that would say that this assessment ID is linked to these monitoring stations. And then there's also this optional field for a data link. You don't need to fill that out to do monitoring stations, but it could be helpful to know like exactly which data you use to make your decision. So for that, I'm going to go to the water quality portal. And so that's generally the data link it would be, is the one from the portal. And I'll just pick one of the side IDs. What was it? This one. And I know the org ID is SAC and Fox. Side ID is that. And I'm just going to say I want the results, and then I'll just, and so then you see it has this data link down here, so I can just copy that and paste it. And I'm just going to say it's the same for all of them, even though it really wouldn't be. And then, or maybe I'll just do it for this one since that's the one we did. And then, so I have my batch upload spreadsheet ready to go. I have my assessment unit ID, my org ID, the location ID, and the data link for the one I'm providing data for. Any questions on that? Okay. And then for, I like to just export it as a CSV using Excel's native way of doing it. So I'm just gonna export it as a CSV, comma delimited file. It doesn't matter what you name it, just click save. And then Excel will just click yes and okay. Excel is telling you that it's a CSV. Yes, I know it's a CSV. And then in ATTAINS, what you do is, let's go back to ATTAINS, is from the like default page for the assessment units. So I can get this. You can click menu and you'll see upload assessment units. So if you click upload assessment units, it takes you to this batch upload page where you can choose your file to upload. So you can upload data for assessment units that are currently in the system. You can upload data for brand new assessment units. It all happens in this page. So choose files, the one I just created, upload, where I say loading. And so then what it says is, okay, this is the assessment unit ID it found, its name, it's updating it, it's adding that new information into it. So if I was adding a new one, it would say something like create. So it says update, says okay, no errors, which is very good news. And you press proceed, and then it says assessment unit upload completed, one assessment unit was successfully uploaded. And then if I go to my assessment unit, you can see I now have these monitoring station information I did not have before. Okay, so I'm going to end it right there, and you should have gotten the files from Karen. So work on exercise 3 and use the AU batch upload template for that I showed to upload to the assessment unit you created in the last session. So I'm going to stop sharing and let me know if you have any questions or run into any problems in trying that out. And we'll give like probably 10 or 15 minutes for this, just to give you guys some decent amount of time.
I also wanted to let everyone know that if you have questions or anything like while you're doing the exercises, you can unmute yourself to ask Jessie questions. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that.
Jessie, this is Angie Reed with Penobscot Nation. What if the assessment units we made last time are points?
It still works. Obviously, when you did obviously when you do it for real for your data, if it is really just 1 point per one assessment unit, then you would just upload one monitoring station in that monitoring stations tab.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, this is Sophie from Tasuki.
Hello.
I was wondering if you could send the link again so that we can log in to the training.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I will bring that up. Thank you. think that was my share screen. Okay, yeah, so this is the URL and the username and password. Hold on. I can put in the chat window. Kari, did you get the internal server error?
Yes, I'm guessing that's just because there's so many people on it.
Maybe. That's a hard error to diagnose. Yeah, I think that is probably the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you did everything correctly, I don't know why I should get it.
Yeah, I didn't get any errors otherwise.
Okay. How are people doing? Do we still need more time? Are we pretty much done? Okay, you're done. Good. Were you able to get to work, Kari?
I tried a couple times, but no, that's fine.
Huh, all right. Hopefully others are able to get work. Anyone else having that same error? You got two. Yeah, I think. Oh, no error. Okay. Yeah, I think it's just this is our demo server, so it's kind of a small server, and we have a lot of people on this call. We ran into this problem on the last call too, so should work when it's not as busy. Okay, I'll give it like another 2 minutes to finish up, and then we'll move on to exercise 4. Okay, we're gonna move on to exercise 4. If anyone is still needing help, feel free to feel free to work with me offline after this call, and I'll help you. Okay, so for exercise 4, let me share my screen again. We are working on the assessment batch upload file that you should have gotten. So similar to how the assessments module is really the core of ATTAINS, the assessment batch upload is similarly the core of your ATTAINS data. So similar to the assessment unit batch upload, it has an instructions tab, an export tab. And then you can see the tabs it has like the general, and these are like very familiar to you when you hand entered the information in our last training. So you have the general, which has like the assessment unit ID. This goes with the agency code, the cycle last assess, general information like that. And then the uses, which we talked about last time, the use that you're assessing for. A lot of these fields are not required, so don't feel overwhelmed that you're going to have to provide all this new information you didn't have to in the user interface. That's not the case. It's there if you want to use it, but you don't have to fill out all those columns. It's really like the assessment unit ID, the use name, the use attainment code, which is like whether it's not supporting or whether it's supporting or unassessed, and that information. And then there's parameters, which is where we're going to be focusing today for this exercise. And that's similar to the parameters information you fill it out by hand at our last session. And then there's a seasons tab. Seasons can be a little funky. So if you do seasonal assessments and could have a water that's assessing for one season or another, you should reach out to me offline and I can help you figure out how to do it in both the user interface and batch upload. And then there's sources. Also should be familiar from what you saw in our last session, which is the source that could be causing the impairment. This is not required at all, and so, but it's there if you want it. So in this scenario for exercise 4, we are going to be uploading parameters. So if you read the document that I have here for exercise 4, it says that you sent a sample to a lab and ran it to a automated assessment tool in this hypothetical scenario we're in. And you have determined that aluminum, cadmium, copper, nickel, lead, and selenium are meeting their criteria for your aquatic life use, basically. So I am going to start entering that. So you enter the name of the parameter under parameter name. And so you see this drop down. So this drop down will be every allowed parameter by ATTAINS. So you know that you're not, so if you use the drop down, you know you're not going to like mistype something and have it throw an error. Because if I like missed the U or whatever in aluminum and tried to upload it, it would give me an error saying invalid parameter. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, what's the matter? So it's just easier to use the drop down to make sure you're getting it right. I think cadmium was the other one we were doing. And I don't remember the other. Copper, nickel, lead, and selenium. Okay, I may not do all of those. Copper. I'll just stop after lead. You get the idea on how this works. Okay, so you have the parameter name, but parameters, of course, need to be associated with uses, as we learned. So let's see, what use did I use for this one? Oh, wait, let me go to sessions. The use name was aquatic and wildlife cold water fishery. So the uses are all here. Aquatic and wildlife cold water fishery. And the parameter status is, since these are all meeting criteria, they're meeting criteria. If this had been like not meeting criteria, it would be a cause. It could also be an observed effect. We talked about which means it's not meeting criteria, but it's not the cause. We talked about those on the last call. The parameter attainment for these would have to be meeting criteria. So remember, as we might have mentioned, so the parameter status is the overall status, and the parameter attainment is per use. So if you have like cadmium here for 2 different uses, and it was not meeting for one use and was meeting for the other, they would both be cause, and then the parameter attainment would be different for the 2. And then the parameter agency code is T for tribe. And then I, of course, need the assessment unit ID from my assessment. So paste that in. And that is all we need. All these rest of those fields are either optional or only apply to impaired waters, or don't apply to tribes. Just a little bit of a preview. We are working on redoing this template to have a new version that would be a little more user friendly. And I'm looking at making a specific one for tribes that doesn't have all of these like 303D fields that don't apply. Okay, so this is there a way to tell which fields are required? Generally, the blue ones are required, but there's the problem of like some are conditionally required. So like this parameter pollutant indicator is either a yes, no if it is an impaired water, and that's important information to know for like the 303D program, but it's never required for a tribe. So we're going to, as I mentioned, work on coming out with a new version that doesn't have these extra fields for tribes. Okay, so this should all work. So I am going to do what we did last time, save as, put this on my desktop, save it as a CSV, and click save. Yes, yes. And then I go back to ATTAINS, and I go back to our, unfilter it, back to our assessments tab. So now we're in the assessments tab, not the assessment units tab. And similar to in the assessment units, you click menu and you go to upload assessments. So one thing we did not see before in the assessment units tab is this upload type. So you have the option here between update and replace. So generally, and what we're going to be doing today, you want to do an update. So if you're doing something like we're doing today, where you're taking a previous assessment unit that you already entered information in here for, and you want to add more assessment information to it, like the metals that we're doing an exercise for. That's an update. If you want to do a wholesale replace of your data, then you want to do replace. So the thing about replace is there are a couple of things at it. One, it only replaces like per assessment unit. So if you have one assessment unit, that's great. You don't need to touch that one, but another one's a complete mess and you want to get rid of all the assessment, all the information you put on it, and with new information. As long as you don't enter any information for the good assessment unit in the template for the replace, you can do replace and it won't touch that one. And we just delete all the information for the one that you're working on. So let's think of an example. So like if you have like phosphorus and nitrogen and pH on this one assessment unit, but really you're like, actually, it's just all dissolved oxygen. You could create a new batch upload for that just has dissolved oxygen, do a replace, and it would clear out the rest of that information for that assessment unit. Yeah, the other thing I replace is so you saw here how there are different tabs. So for replace, you have to upload all 3 tabs for it to work. You can't just upload a parameters tab or general or uses. You have to do all 3. And I am sorry, I did not see the question. Are those rules written down somewhere? I'll have to get back to you on that. Maybe. We're also going to be making some changes into how this screen works to actually make it clearer what the different options are and have them ran on this screen. So if they're not written down somewhere now, they will be on this screen in the near future. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so we're all doing an update today. So I'm going to choose my file. Choose the assessment, choose upload file. Okay, so it's all going in. For some reason, it is giving me this. So when you do this, you'll see there are 3 options here. There's OK, which is fine, everything's good to go. There's error, which means you need to fix something. It will not let you upload. And there's this needs information, which is like the middle tier, which is basically saying it will let you upload, but your assessment's still incomplete because you need this information. But the weird thing is that it shouldn't be giving me this because you don't need to ever provide 303D priority ranking as a tribe. So that is an interesting bug, I'll note. So if you see this when you do this, don't worry about it, it should still work. Hopefully it does, yep. Assessment upload complete, 1 assessment was successfully uploaded. So now I should see all my, yep, here are the medals I added to my assessment. Okay. So any questions before I let you guys loose? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, do exercise 4 using the assessment batch upload spreadsheet, and feel free to unmute yourself or type in the box if you have any questions. Yeah, hi. I can remind you what columns are required. So you need the parameter name, which comes from the exercise, the assessment unit ID, which is your assessment unit ID you created, the use name, so it's whatever aquatic life use you associated with your assessment unit last time, probably the same one that I used, which is aquatic and wildlife cold water fishery, the parameter status name, which is mean criteria, the parameter attainment code, which is also mean criteria, and then the param agency code, which is T for tribe. So all the blue ones except for the parameter pollutant indicator you don't need. Does that answer your question? Yeah, just remember it's the blue ones minus the parameter pollutant indicator. Correct, nothing past column I.
Hey, Jesse, this is Sophie. Getting an error that says invalid parameter for aluminum and cadmium. Impaired water information cannot be applied to a parameter that is not a cause. But I had it listed as meeting the criteria.
Huh. Did you fill out any column past I?
I don't think so.
Did you fill out the what is it, the pollutant indicator one?
Hmm. Oh, wait.
Yeah, the pollutant indicators, we're working on fixing that because you might, some people put no because they're like, it's not a pollutant, but that would throw an error if it's
I
meeting
think that was
criteria.
my, I think that's
Yeah.
where, okay. I think that
Yeah,
was
we're
it.
working on making it ignore that column, so it won't give you that error anymore. So can we choose each of these parameters are meeting criteria? No, if you want to do something different than what the instructions say, go ahead. This is just a test assessment unit that is just there for you to play with, so. So how's everyone doing? Are we, all right. How do we make sure that the param use name matches what we had set in the previous training? Yeah, I just looked in Attains and then used the drop down to get there. You could also copy and paste from Attains. So obviously when it's your data, you'll be more familiar with it and know exactly what you put as the use name. So this is all I have for the training today. So I guess, does anyone have any questions about the batch upload in general, anything we went over today that you want to ask? Yeah, where you found the username in Attains and the batch upload template? Attains. Okay, yeah, I can do that. So it's whatever you made your use name here. So it's one of these uses, whichever one you associate with the parameters you're uploading. Is that clear? You just keep getting. You just keep getting internal errors and trying to. Okay, yeah, I guess this is the same problem. Everyone's trying to do it. So it's using too many resources. Yes, but I don't seem to choose the one that matches. Huh, that shouldn't matter. So the way it works is there are different uses for different organizations because each organization has its own unique uses. But it shouldn't matter as long as the name is right. Try just copying and pasting it from Attains. That should get around your problem. Yeah, so those are two different, Attains sees those as two different uses. The primary contact, parentheses recreation, primary contact recreation from two different organizations. So it will give you an error for not matching. Yeah, it can be very literal at times. Yeah, I don't know if there's an easier way to find them from the drop down. Yeah, we're working on improving the batch upload spreadsheet in that way for the uses. So what we hope to do is there's some way like specify what your org ID is, and that will limit it to the uses you use. We're still trying to figure out all the Excel functions to do that, but we're trying to make it easier. It says use support not assessed. But the parameter is meeting criteria. Does it give you an error for that? I'm trying to remember if that's allowed or not. me see. So use support not assess just means that the water has that use, but it hasn't been assessed to know whether that use is meeting or not meeting, or its use. Huh. That's a good trick. Thanks, Kari. Are you good, Sophie? Did I answer your question? Great. Okay, well, I don't have anything else. I will stick around for people that are still working and have questions. But if you have done everything or don't have any questions, feel free to drop off. I don't have anything else planned, but I'll stick around and happy to answer questions for a little while longer.
Hey, Jesse,
Yep.
I just sent another question in the chat, but also I'm realizing that it might be best for me to admit that I don't see, and maybe I just missed it in the exercise for the assessments. I don't see, was there a place in there that says what we should assign these to? Are they all supposed to be meeting criteria?
In exercise
Apologies.
4?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
just,
says it. Let me reopen the exercise. So I remember where exactly it says it.
I mean, I'm looking at the scenario, but it doesn't say, and you've decided that they all meet criteria. That was the reason I asked, but maybe I just didn't read far enough.
You have received the results in the lab and have run through the automated process. Huh. I gotta get used to say it. Maybe I. No. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can put them whatever you want.
Yeah, well, so when I did a few of those, like I tried some to say, I tried
Mhm.
some with the parameter status name of cause,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have an attainment code of not meeting criteria,
Yep.
and it gave me some errors, but I just decided to change it all to meeting criteria just to see if I could get it to
Yeah.
work. So that's why
Um,
that was the source of my last question of, is there a
okay.
document that describes the approved combination of parameter status name
So,
and
so cause
documentation?
and not meeting criteria is definitely valid. Probably the error is giving you is you're associating with a use as fully supporting, is my guess.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just as long as I know what I'm,
Mm-hmm.
is there some place that describes those combinations? I mean, there's not that many, but
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, we
okay.
should have one, so it's a good idea to create one if we don't have it.
Yeah, that would be
So,
useful just to
Yep.
know ahead of time to prevent errors as opposed to having to
Yeah.
interpret them when you get
Yep.
them.
Mm-hmm.
This was great. Thank you.
Yeah, great. I mean, it was helpful.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Does anyone still on the call have any questions or need any help with anything? Okay, Karen, I think we can go ahead and end this call.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. We appreciate
Yeah.
you presenting
Yeah.
today. And everyone have a good afternoon, and we'll see you next time.
And
Thank
thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.